What would you do after discovering your entire childhood was built on lies? For years, I believed my parents treated my sister and me exactly the same. Then one forgotten box in the attic destroyed that illusion. Last month, while helping my mom clean out old storage boxes, I found a dusty shoebox filled with bank statements. At first, it looked ordinary. Then I noticed years of monthly payments of $2,500 sent directly to Stanford University. The dates matched exactly when my sister, Olivia, attended college from 2015 to 2019. My heart sank. When I started college, my parents had told us they couldn't afford to help either of us. Dad insisted it had to be fair. He said we'd both learn responsibility by paying our own way. So I believed him. I waited tables, worked at a grocery store, and tutored students whenever I could. By graduation, I owed $87,000 in student loans after working nearly 40 hours every week. Some nights I was so exhausted I fell asleep in the library between shifts. Meanwhile, Olivia joined a sorority, studied abroad in Paris, and never seemed worried about money. I assumed she'd earned better scholarships, then I kept digging through the box. There were receipts for her apartment deposits, checks covering sorority dues, and records from an account Dad created just to pay for her vacations. Altogether, he'd secretly spent more than $180,000 on her. While I survived on ramen noodles and even sold plasma to make rent. I confronted Mom first. She broke down crying. She admitted she'd argued with Dad for years. His excuse? Olivia is more fragile, you're stronger, you can handle struggling. That explanation shattered me. That night, I spread every document across the dinner table. Dad's face went completely white. Before he could speak, I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. Was it because Olivia is your biological daughter? And I'm adopted. The silence answered everything. Mom burst into tears. Dad insisted it wasn't about adoption. He claimed he was only protecting Olivia after her mental health struggles in high school. And what about mine? I asked. I reminded him I'd worked 3 jobs while watching my sister travel through Europe. I'd be paying student loans into my 40s because of his decision. Panicking, Dad offered to pay off my loans immediately. I laughed. The money was never the point. He had already decided my future mattered less. He believed I was easier to sacrifice. As I walked out, I turned back one last time. I graduated with honors while working non-stop. Olivia barely graduated and dropped out of grad school. So much for the fragile one. Mom begged me to stay. I left anyway. On the drive home, Olivia called crying. She swore she never knew the truth. Dad had convinced her to keep everything secret because he claimed I didn't need help. 2 days later, she came to my apartment and handed me a $90,000 check. It was her entire inheritance from our grandmother. I don't deserve this, she whispered. For a moment, I almost accepted it. Then I remembered something. That inheritance was supposed to be split between us. Dad had convinced Grandma to leave everything to Olivia by claiming I'd inherited a trust fund from my biological parents. There was never any trust fund. He had lied to everyone. I handed the check back. Keep it, I said. But you deserve to know the truth. I watched 20 years of lies unravel across her face. She'd spent her life believing she was the less loved child. Instead, she realized Dad had manipulated both of us, keeping us divided for years. Last week, Dad had a heart attack. Thankfully, it wasn't serious. Since then, he's called every day, begging for forgiveness. Yesterday, he offered to put his house in my name. I gave him one final answer. Save it for Olivia's next mistake. Then I blocked his number and finally walked away from the lies for good.